All right, welcome to part two. And in the last part, I believe we left off where I had just come back from the property, and it was kind of quiet for a little bit, although I was listening to both sides venting about the situation, and one side was giving me evidence and the other was not giving me evidence. I'm sure you can figure out who was giving me the evidence and who was just whining and bitching and name calling. So that plays out for a while, and I'm just sort of taking it all in. But eventually, I get fed up with it. And what happened was Bobby messaged me on Discord. And before this, I have to explain that as well. Cassie had talked to me about wanting to change paralegals, which I don't, I think she's kind of a layman when it comes to these sorts of things, but you don't just, pick and choose paralegals. It's the attorneys, which she hadn't been dealing with for whatever reason. I don't understand how the arrangement, like there was no case, even though he kept talking about there was a case. No, there's not a case until you file it with the court. So that never happened. So basically Bobby was telling them that he was working on their legal case when the reality was he was sitting behind a computer making videos, beating his dick and playing video games. And one of the things that Cassie's husband told me is like he hadn't seen Bobby do jack shit the entire time he was there until the day that Apocrypha and another MGTOW showed up to the property when they were supposed to show up. Then all of a sudden he wants to be Mr. Workhorse, which I found pretty amusing. But anyhow, I digressed a little bit. So Cassie tells me that she's want to switch paralegals, and I'm like, you just need an attorney altogether. And I guess she has a friend close by that is a paralegal, and she told Bobby that, hey, I think I'm going to switch paralegals. And so I get a message like, hey, I heard you're going to be working on the case. And I'm like, at this point, I know exactly how to get his hamster wheel turning. So I just tell him not necessarily. Of course, obviously, the answer is no. But I told him not necessarily. So then he just proceeds to get ready to tell me all about her case. And I'm like, dude, I know what you're doing here. And he was basically trying to see what kind of information he could get out of me. And he even lied to me, telling me that Cassie told him that she was going to be having me work on her case, which is a complete and utter lie. So that really pissed me off. And plus the ethics. So another thing that apparently Mr. Ethics doesn't know, since he's not conventionally trained in being a paralegal and he has no education on it, there's rules of ethics which require you to not talk to people who are outside of a legal case about their case. Granted, it wasn't a real legal case because it hadn't been filed with the fucking court, and she hadn't paid for legal representation. So essentially there was no case, but still, that still just got on my nerves, especially since this motherfucker is always babbling about ethics. So basically I told him, look, I'm tired of this cloak and dagger shit. Just leave me out of this. I don't want involved. And then he proceeded to spurg out and run his fucking trap, which pissed me off even further. And let me look here. I'm going to be very professional and look at the bullshit. I basically told him to keep my name out of his mouth and fuck off, essentially. He continued to type because he wanted to get the last word in, so I was like, you're still typing? Fuck out of here. But anyways, that's the last communication I had with that fool. And that was at the beginning of August. It was the 1st of August. So that's pretty much my involvement in all this, and it exposes, what the fuckery that he's had going on behind the scenes. There were a couple other funny stories and things that were happening in the background while all this was going on. Apparently, he had offered RoseBlades, he'd offered to sponsor her to come to the U.S., and I will let you guys use your imaginations as to why he would do that. Another interesting thing is he had a similar arrangement with the Lily Even 32 broad. I'm not sure whether he was planning on going to Australia to live with her, or he was trying to get her to come to the States. I don't know the deal. I'm really just telling this story secondhand, and you can choose whether or not you want to believe that. But I do have the screenshot in regards to RoseBlades where he's whining to Cassie that nobody was supposed to talk to her about Rose. So I do have that one. And then there's probably the last one. Oh no, there's two more. Sorry. There's the deal with Tatiana. So when DDJ and the plumber went to go see Apocrypha at his old place, and they went to pick up vehicles from Apocrypha, and we'll get into that in a minute, but apparently the group went to a Thai restaurant, and Tatiana, I guess, is like a Russian broad that looks, moderately attractive, and apparently DDJ took the tea kettle thing, and he kept serving Tatiana. So he was being a straight up cuck to a decently attractive woman. I'm sure you guys are all very shocked about that. So after that, they bring the vehicles to the property, and one of them was to go to another MGTOW who I'm not going to name, and the truck, there was a truck, and that was supposed to be bought by DDJ. I believe that Apocrypha signed the papers over to him, and it was under the condition of like, hey, I'll pay you later type of deal. Well, I bet you guys can guess whether or not it was paid for. And if you said that he did not pay for it, you would be correct. So that's it, guys. That is the truth of DDJ and all the fuckery that's been going on behind the scenes. And he's moved on to a new sugar daddy, who is another wealthy person, because, he can't apparently live on his own and pay his own fucking bills. But I'm not going to say who that is, because really I think he's an innocent person and he doesn't need to be involved in this. So anyways, that's part 2, guys. That is the truth about Misandry today and his fuckery, and I'll catch you guys later.